A very good evening and a warm welcome to our respected speaker and all dear participants who have joined us today for another session of the virtual talk series. This talk series is brought to you by University of Bolton, Khaima in collaboration with the British Computing Society Middle East. We really appreciate you taking your time off your busy schedules, and we hope you will find the lined up program to be beneficial and engaging. As the main objective of this series is to provide an avenue for sharing ideas, information, and best practices. It is a collaborative effort to connect industry experts and professionals based in the UAE and the Middle East. Before we start, I request the participants to make sure that your microphone and camera is off at all times during this session. Please make sure that you display your names correctly, as we will be giving out certificates to the registered participants. If you have any questions at all, do note them down and keep them with you because you will be given the chance to ask them after the presentation. With that being said, let's begin. 2 decades ago, the term cyberspace seemed right out of a science fiction movie. In the second decade of the 21st century, cyberspace is probably the place where most of us spend a major part of our lives. It has become an inseparable element of our existence. But is it really safe? Cybersecurity is a general issue that is faced by everyone in different forms like data breaches, computer viruses, malicious malware. The threats come in numerous different types. It does not require one to have an advanced degree in cybersecurity, but at least to have enough knowledge to deal with any security challenges faced in our day-to-day lives. Cyberspace, the new war front, our topic of today's session. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mrs. Carly Jo Guy, an educational professional with specialism in quality assurance and educational operations, also the Vice Principal of Western International College.
Thank you, and hi, good evening to everyone from a very rainy and cold England. Thank you, Ms. Lava, for my introduction. This evening is our second virtual talk in a series of sessions offered in collaboration led by the British Computer Society. A particular welcome is extended to our core committee members, as well as department heads and academic peers from a wide range of universities. You're all very welcome here. As mentioned, my name is Carly Guy. I'm the Head of Quality for the University of Bolton Academic Centre, as well as being Vice Principal for Western International College in London. We're now well into the term, and I hope that our students are learning from home and that all is going well. And God willing, we can reopen our academic centre soon and try and return to some semblance of normality. We are incredibly grateful to the British Computer Society, our honoured speakers and our delegates for giving your time to develop the next generation of academic thinkers, focusing on a subject in which we all share a passion. Our prominent guest speaker, multiple award winner, Mr. Ilyas Kulyanko, is Chief Information Security Officer, and we simply don't have time to list all of his accolades, but I can tell you he is quite the celebrity within the information security circuit. He was IDC Middle East CISO of the Year Award winner 2020, Crystal Award from Emirates Airlines, World Malali Excellence Award, Kerala Engineering Outstanding Achiever Award, and he's also been the outstanding employee for most part of his career, as you can well imagine. Ilyas is one of the world's most prominent minds in information security and has worked across industries such as banking, finance, telecoms, and actively shares his knowledge and expertise with many influential committees in the Middle East and in the Indian subcontinent. He often contributes to periodicals, publishing updates within the sector, and he's also a regular keynote speaker at cybersecurity roadshows and conferences. And I should probably start by thanking him for working tirelessly to improve the defences against cyber threats and essentially improving the safeguarding measures for these key sectors. We've worked with the University of Bolton for over a decade, delivering programmes from Khaima and always adding to the list of UK qualifications that we offer. One of the forefathers of the establishment of the academic centre is the esteemed Dr. Zubair Hanslot, Doctor of Engineering, Provost for the University of Bolton. And quite the mind Dr. Hanslot has. Having lived in Bolton all of his life, he rose from humble beginnings, working full-time throughout all of his studies, succeeding in areas such as numerical analysis, mathematics, software development, and of course, leadership and management. Dr. Hanslot was in fact the principal and academic director of the Centre in Ras Al Khaimah, where he not only established what we have today, but fostered close alliances with the royal family, most notably His Highness Sheikh Saud bin Saka Al Qasimi. And Dr. Zubair now is a member of the national group working with the Higher Education Funding Council to improve academic links at the highest levels between the UK and countries within the Middle East and North Africa region. So who better to give our inaugural welcome? And we welcome you, Dr. Hanslot. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Carly, and thank you for such a warm welcome. I don't actually recognize some of the things, but yeah, I guess they reflect the experience, and time does fly when you're enjoying yourself. So what I want to say, obviously, today's a special day, particularly for our guest speaker, because you know, it takes a certain mind to do certain things. But before I welcome our guest speaker, I just want to take the opportunity, if I may, just to talk a little bit about. Sorry, somebody needs to. Good. Okay. To talk a little bit about the University of Bolton and. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So just say, Ibrahim. Okay, Ibrahim, can you switch your microphone on and keep it switched off? Thank you. Okay, I just want to say for the third time something about the University of Bolton. Is there any way? I think we need to just disconnect Ibrahim. Good. Right. So I think most of you probably know a little bit about the university. We are in the top 50 of the Guardian League table. We're a university which is very fixated in bringing education to your doorstep. So rather than being a university saying, you know, you need to come to us, we want to bring the education to you. And that is one of the reasons why I was the one who sort of developed the campus in Ras Al Khaimah. It's a very special place for me. I spent 3 years of my career there, sort of in and out, but developing and getting things shaped in a particular way. And what you've got there is very special in the sense that we bring British education to the Middle East, but doing it in such a way where we look after the quality, we assure the quality, and we make sure that the degree you actually get from Ras Al Khaimah is fitting to a British degree, a qualification that is worthy of some merit. And that's why it's very special, and we have a very close partnership. What we've been doing in the University of Bolton, particularly at the main campus, like a lot of universities, the pandemic has created many challenges, but we are still open. We are obviously delivering some of the things online. Things we can't do online, we're doing it face to face in a very safe and measured way, where again in England, the motto is hands, wash your hands, face, wear a mask, space, keep your distance. And that will protect lives and protect the NHS. And that's what we are doing at the university. So without sort of saying any more about the university, I really want to offer a very, very warm welcome to tonight's guest. Ilyas is probably one of those people who you want to side with if you're interested in robbing a bank. And I say that obviously with a bit of humor, but if you want to rob a bank in today's sort of modern sort of society, you would be foolish to go up to a bank with a gun or a weapon and say, this is a sticker, and put your money in the bag, because you'll get caught. There are cameras, security systems, and so on. The modern criminal these days, when they look at a banking system and they want to do something, they try and rob it digitally. Ilyas is probably one of those people looking at all the accolades that Carly has mentioned and his profile. a very, very intelligent person who who understands how the security systems work in a bank and any financial institution, how they should be protected, what are the weaknesses and the loopholes, and he's at the forefront of his knowledge. So he's ahead of his game. He will think of things which other people can't think of, I guess. So this is the sort of person you'd want to listen to. And this is absolutely great because this sort of a webinar is a culmination of a lot of work. And the people who you see around you, some of the people, Carly, Fatima, Abdi, will have put this together because we want to bring to our students and also other people who are interested, not only the voice of academics, because academics like me love talking, but we are extremely boring. And in a lot of cases, our knowledge is a bit dated. What you want to do, you want to listen to people who are doing it for real. And there's a great saying, don't just walk the walk, you don't just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. So Ilyas is probably one of these people who in his day job, he has to deliver. He has to make sure his systems are secure and he has to do it in a very diligent way. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the floor over to Ilyas, and I'm going to await the very interesting talk he has for us. Over to you, Ilyas, and we'll give him a virtual round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to all of you. I hope I'm audible. Fatma, Kali. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Zubair and Kali and the whole team actually, put me in a very difficult situation. The expectation is, I think skyrocketed, and it's a challenging job for me compared to any other, speaking engagement. I think the intro was very, very detailed, and I'm afraid now the hackers will be looking at me and targeting me because they will be thinking how to get me. Anyway, just to start the session, it's a real privilege and honor to speak to a wonderful audience coming from mostly from the University of Bolton, and also to get a stage or a virtual stage shared with Dr. Zubair and Kali and Fatma and all of your team. It's my honor. So I will just to make sure that I'll go to the content very quickly and manage the expectation as much as possible from my side. The subject, as introduced by Dr. Zubair and Kali, is about I will take a journey through the technology development and how the technology evolved and how the cybersecurity challenges and cybersecurity controls evolved in parallel, and what is expected for the future. Basically, in a webinar or a conference speeches, normally it's very difficult to cover in detail, but the objective is to give some thoughts that can trigger your mind, and you can go and do further studies and research and discussions that can stimulate your brain. And also some of the audience in the past, what I was able to very satisfyingly achieve is that to build a passion in the field of cybersecurity, because it's a field evolving, and even I try to convince my daughter also to come into the field. She's actually in her grade 12, to tell her how interesting the field is. So I hope I can generate that interest at least among some of the audience today. So basically, this is the slide which really I like to start with. So in any cyber security scenarios we take, there could be always risk associated from internal insiders, which is like any organization. There could be employees, or this could be disgruntled. Someone could make mistakes, which could lead to cyber or information security risk to an organization. And the other bigger parties could be a hacktivist, which is a hacker and activists combined, who has certain political or kind of an agenda or a certain viewpoints that they wanted to execute in the cyber world. Or it could be criminals, cyber criminals, organized crime, criminal gangs who were in the physical world moved to the cyber world. The other bigger players in the cybersecurity field could be nation states or terror groups who have to achieve their objectives of attacking or maligning or impacting their enemy countries or other parties, and then it become the cybersecurity challenge become even serious. So there are certain examples of very big cybersecurity incidents where many banks and even airways, airlines and hospitals got attacked in the past. And even regionally, there were many cases of cyber security incidents, which you must have read in the newspapers and all. And some of the other big issues or big cybersecurity or data security breaches where you must have read about Facebook and Google breaches, where privacy of information was kind of compromised, that led to many political and high-level debates in the world. So why cybersecurity issues are increasing day by day? So as we see the COVID pandemic situation itself, the technological changes and advancement during the past many years were very, very high speed. If you kind of consider, when I started my career in UAE, it was in '96. There were only 10,000 internet users in UAE. So that is the time I started my job in Etisalat in the internet support section, where people are started to understand how the internet connections and how to use a mouse. And it evolved now that in this COVID situation, where without technology, we could not imagine how we would have, without internet, how we would have been operating at this current scenarios, because all of this working from home, e-learning, and all the activities currently happening is because of what we have, the advancement in the technology and the internet, the speed of internet. And even this webinar is happening because of the technological advancement. So similarly, when the technology is advanced, the criminals who were in the physical world also moved to the cyber world, because that has actually gave them a better opportunity. The return on investment is very high, because they can sit in any corner of the world and plan for a bank robbery or any other kind of a theft very conveniently, with all the resources in their hand, which could be across the world. And once they have executed a kind of a cyber crime, it's not easy to detect and identify and catch them, because of the technical and geo kind of challenges in that such a scenario. So this is actually kind of any good thing comes with a bad thing. So technological advancement is helping the mankind. At the same time, there are the bad guys and the bad side of it, which is impacting or which is posing challenges to the industry and to the world. So as I was mentioning, now the technological advancement is at a very expedited manner. And last few months, the development happening in the technology and the adoption of technological tools and solutions, and the various options, and the organizations and individuals are exploring what is the latest thing, what is the technological solution that can address my current challenges and future challenges, how we can optimize the cost associated with operating an organization in a much cost optimized manner by having the cloud options or any other technological solutions available. So if you see the cloud and big data, I don't have time to go in detail, but the boundaries are not there. Organizational boundaries, perimeter as a physical perimeter is not existing anymore to protect. Now I cannot protect the organization by putting controls or walls around my organization, because the information and the services and the access is around. Now, if the university or the bank, I mean, people are working from across the world in the current scenario and working from home, and the services may be hosted outside the organizational perimeter. So this is actually something open up, and the pace at which this development happened is during last few months was very fast. And I don't know, you must have seen a meme or a cartoon recently, that, or a question, I mean, it's a funny question, that who triggered your digital transformation, and the answer option was, is it CIO, is it the CTO, or is the COVID-19? So the COVID-19 in fact is the answer which was chosen, because the COVID-19 really triggered the digital transformation for many organizations who were still hesitating to go to cloud and other options. So the other technological advancement like augmented reality, the 3D printing or Internet of Things, the robotics, all of these are now, it was already in a very kind of advanced stages, and the pace at which these are going to be developed will be again faster during next coming months and years. So even robotics part, I mean, even the banking now, we are depending on robotic processes to do execution of certain processes or operational activities instead of human beings. So the challenges, the value it brings is that it reduces the cost, it reduces the time to execute things, but at the same time, the security of that is, something which is very important to ensure that they are doing what they are supposed to do. So as I touched upon, so these technological changes brings risk to the organization or to the individuals or to the community. Now there could be incidents of physical activities or safety of people that can be targeted by a planned group of people who wanted to really impact their counterparties. So there are incidents of people died during a recent cyber attack where the hospitals got paralyzed and the operation rooms were not able to operate and operations has to be delayed. And there are biomedical instruments which has technological controls or technical component that can be even targeted by criminals if they want. So there are attacks that can be affecting the safety of people in the future, and even cyber wars where national critical infrastructure could be targeted by the opposite parties that can impact the lives of people. So what are the motives of cyber attacks? Primarily, as you all guess, it could be money. So one of the key objective of criminals move to cyber world, basically initially it started with as a script kiddies just for fun, but then it really moved to making easy money. And as I mentioned, the ROI, the return on investment in these are pretty big, and the criminals were finding it easy place to operate without being detected without having their face or their identity revealed. So there are more people, more criminals went into the cyber world. So other objectives could be, as we see, like, a cyber war. It could be someone who wanted to demonstrate or show their power and take revenge against certain other, parties. So this is again, basically what I'm telling is not theory. I mean, we are seeing it, and as organization, we actually at some time we were on the war ground, I mean war front, to fight people who are targeting us, on attacking us on with certain kind of objective. So there are targeted attacks which is kind of we are seeing during past many years and months, where it is really the objective is to show some kind of a agenda or objectives or motives. So now this is actually the journey which I was referring. Now, when I started my career, I finished my engineering in 94, and I started my first job in 95. Those period, we did not have internet, and we have those PCs and floppy disk, where only risk is someone carry a virus in a floppy disk to another PC, because it's not connected to the network or there's no internet. So the life was much easier for us. We can just we don't have to worry so many things about attacks. We just have to make sure the floppy disk is safe and secure when we transfer the files. Then antivirus was the only security solution at that point of time in 1990s, where you have to have the antivirus to detect any kind of viruses on those floppies. So the life evolved, and in 2000s we were kind of more connected to internet. There are more and more organizations connected together, and more communication, more activities. More emails started flowing. So there are then started to have attacks, where our objective is to how to protect our organization network from an external network. So that time the firewalls came in picture, which is primarily to block anything unwanted and allow only the web browsing activities or the email activities. So the security controls was primarily around firewalls, and firewalls were pretty good enough to protect the organization from external attacks. Then again it evolved. There are more and more sophistication of attacks comes. So whatever allowed, they try to intrude through those allowed traffic to come into the organizational network and the PCs of individuals. So then the solution, the security solution started to evolve further, how to detect those sophisticated attacks. Then there are technology called intrusion detection prevention solutions, which is primarily to see if somebody is coming to browse our website, are they really browsing or they're trying to do something else. It can detect and prevent those kind of sophisticated attack. Then it's slowly building, grown up into more and more sophistication in the attack spectrum, where someone really target an organization or individuals or organizations with solutions or vulnerabilities we call 0-day. I mean, there are, like, we have Windows or we have Unix systems where there could be some security gaps identified, and there are no solutions still available from the vendor, and which is called 0-day vulnerabilities, where there is no software patch available, and that is being targeted to attack. So that is called APT attacks, or advanced persistent attacks, where there are more persistence to break into a network, break into an organization to attack that particular organization. So then there are solutions came in security, which is called APT prevention solution, which is advanced persistence attack prevention solution. That is those years of advancement. then it become really a further advanced, and military grade cybersecurity exploits were developed. And that is how, I don't know how many of you remember, there was an attack, there was a ransomware attack called WannaCry that was very, very popular. People who did not know what I was doing those period where I say I'm working in cybersecurity, they don't understand what is cybersecurity. After that WannaCry incident become the main news across the world, and people understand what is actually cybersecurity. And that really attacked 150 plus countries, and it impacted 400,000 plus machines across only in Ukraine as a country. And it was actually something kind of a military grade attack that was created, and it was leaked. The tool was leaked, and some of the criminals exploited the tool to attack organization across the world. So that actually impacted even hospitals and ATMs across the world, and it was having a massive impact to the world in terms of cyber attack. So this is just to show the difference between how a normal cyber crime, which could be impacting our day-to-day life, and that could be like a phishing scam, a phishing email, or it could be any kind of online frauds. And then that the frequency of that, as you see, it will be very high, but the consequence may be limited to individuals or certain organization. But then when it reached to a cyber war, the frequency could be less, but the impact, as we know, it could be huge, because the cyber war could be impacting a country as a targeted attack on their critical infrastructure, which could be even an electricity grid or a nuclear plant, which happened in the region in the past, where that really could be triggering loss of life even in certain cases. So cyber warfare tactics could be espionage, which is kind of leaking of information on a very slow mode, or it could be a propaganda that could be targeting an organization or countries. It could be denial of service, that electricity grid is attacked by another country. There could be a service, electricity service, that could be impacted, and that may be having an electricity unavailability to that country. Or it could be a manipulation of infrastructure for those countries' critical national infrastructure. So now coming into artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, some of the university students must have already having an understanding of what is artificial intelligence. But now the development in cybersecurity and the development in technology and the adoption of artificial intelligence is something which is extremely important, because the world is actually moving towards artificial intelligence. That is something where human mind, or millions or multiple human minds, is being translated into an technology field or technological component, where it can process and take actions and respond without human intervention, where there are many activities, many actions in the future. I mean, already currently itself, that is depending on art, that could be operated with artificial intelligence. So the future, those artificial intelligence itself could be used by the criminals to target organizations and individuals. So now, for example, if we see phishing emails which is targeting, which we receive very regularly about certain prizes, or we won a lottery and we you click that, or you send this information, kind of normal phishing emails, if it is being targeted to individuals by understanding what is the weakness of certain people, or by analyzing their social media presence, by understanding their behavior, what is their interest. Now if is so, Like if you Google certain kind of products or services, then wherever you go in Facebook or LinkedIn or any other media, you get advertisements which are customized to your that interested area. I mean, maybe you are searching for a TV or a mobile, then anywhere you go, you get that advertisement, because they're using artificial intelligence to understand that this is what you're interested. So let them, they will try to sell it, through that understanding. So similarly, the criminals could be targeting us with that kind of an understanding. What are we really looking at? What is our weaknesses? What are the gaps? And organizations also can be targeted with similar kind of approach by criminals with artificial intelligence. So there could be weaponized artificial intelligence solutions which can be used by criminals in the future, that can be very targeting of organizations or individuals. And there could be attacks between machine to machine that can even, as predicted, could lead to a next world war, could be on the cyber front. So now coming back to reality in cybersecurity. So why still, after all this development in technology, after all this advancement in technology, why we still have cybersecurity challenges, and always we are on the catching up game? Now, if we see, as if you can see in this particular slides, attackers are always finding newer ways of targeting organizations and individuals with more and more sophisticated tools. The second aspect is, now everything and anything is connected. Now if we see our mobile phone, laptop, and our office, our school, our university, everything is connected now. And once this interconnectivity comes, the challenge of identifying the security weaknesses and fixing those is become a real big challenge for organizations and professionals. The third thing is the complexity, because now once there are complexity is told as the enemy of security. Once it is more complex, it is actually with more features and functionalities. The complexity on the security requirements and the challenges are ever increasing. So that is actually one of the key factor why we always say it has to be as simple as possible. But in reality, when more and more systems are connected and more requirements, even if what we saw during this pandemic, the working from home scenario and the collaboration tools, there are a lot of new requirement comes, and that makes the whole setup complex, and that makes the life of technologists and the security professionals even more difficult. The next one is a poorly written software, because most of the solutions and operating systems, when browsers or email software, anything, the objective of these organizations and the product vendors is to come out first, to make sure they are the leaders in that particular domain. So when those softwares are developed, I mean, the security aspect were not given that much of importance. So nowadays there are more secure development process and secure development solutions are available, but there are a lot of proprietary softwares which is already developed on many organizations. Many developers doesn't follow the security because there is deadlines to deliver softwares and solutions, and they keep the security aspect as the last priority. So that actually impacts the software development and the software which is being released, which includes our browsers and operating system, or any software, even mobile operating system, which we are using as security vulnerable. That's why normally these vendors release a security patches time to time, and we security professionals always tell our users to keep it updated, because of to ensure that those security weaknesses in the software is fixed. So internet design itself, now originally how internet evolved, originally internet was meant for a very small setup in US Department of Defense to share certain kind of information. So that is how it came up, and then it evolved into a world wide web and a cyber, across the world. So originally designed without having the right security architecture in mind. So when it grown into bigger and bigger and bigger, that basic fundamental security flow also, is still there, and it is not got fixed. So that actually the fundamental issue is still making us suffer of security vulnerabilities and issues. Extensibility, now if you remember, when we used telephone in the past, many years back, the telephone can do only making a call and receiving a call, nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. So it is just for making a phone call. But now if you see current phone, it is more than a computer. I mean, I think my phone can do more things than my computer does. So the functionalities and the purpose is much more than a telephone. So if a telephone cannot be hacked at those days, but now a telephone can be hacked because it is having so much of functionalities, so many softwares in that can be compromised, that can be breached because of any security issues around that can be exploited by the bad guys whoever wanted to target that. So coming to our final slides. Now, what is the solution? Now, again, I'm not sure all the audience are kind of looking at an organizational perspective or an individual perspective. But here, what my focus is from an organizational perspective, which can be maybe what we should do to address security issues. So from any organizational perspective, security can be approached with the right combination of having the right processes in the organization, the right technology solutions, and right people with right awareness, right organization structure, with the right authority of security in the organization. Like in a bank now, for example, a CISO is being accountable and authorized to drive the information security or cyber security program. And we create an organization structure with different responsibility, different functions, and different areas of activities. So then we create a cyber security strategy that is aligned with the organizational strategy, because cyber security cannot be a control only function. So it should enable, because if the organization wants to work, have the working from home, it wants to adopt cloud and the latest technology, we need to ensure those are being adopted and we grow as an organization, but at the same time with the right security. But at the same time, we need to assess what is the risk of doing that, what are the controls we need to put in, what is the technical solution required, what is the process we need to put in place to adopt for such an technological changes. Now, for example, if you see now, all of you must be using mobile banking, mobile app for doing all the banking transaction. So that is a functionality that is required to be making life easier for the customers, and to have more and more adoption and reduce the footprints in the branches and reduce the people have to go to the branches, but at the same time and execute all of those functionalities as much as from the phone itself. Now again, it is coming more and more completely have digital banks without visiting to the branch, without having people, that is the direction. But these all actually coming with security challenges and risk, where exploitation can happen, misuse can happen, and we have to, as an security professional, has to design the right controls around to protect the bank and the customers from any kind of security breaches around that. So this is what actually happening in even from working from home kind of setup. When people wants to work from home, they want to use the collaboration platform, they have to use cloud services. We have to define the right technological process and people controls to ensure that it doesn't doesn't leads to a security breach that can impact the organization and the customer, or the public. So these are actually some of the other controls where we have to have the right training and awareness. We have to have security monitoring. We need to have the right compliance and right metrics to measure the effectiveness of cybersecurity. This is the last slide. I'm going to wind up with that. We basically needs to ensure we have a system hygiene even at our personal level. If you have a mobile phone, if you have social media, you have a PC or laptop, you have to have basic security hygiene where when you are downloading software, when you are accessing site, you have to ensure that these are secure. You are downloading a secure application, you have the right security patches, you have the right security solutions installed, which is like antivirus or anti internet security solutions are available at a very low cost. Needs to be implementing those. These are basic security practices. Even for mobile phone, we have security. You can download security solutions that can protect your phone. And also from an organization perspective, you have to have a plan and implement those security program on the ground with the right technology, people and process controls for the organization. So that's actually my final slide, and I hope I have given some thoughts to trigger your thinking for going in deep. And I'm sure there are certain probably part of the audience, maybe there are some technical terms I had to use where I don't have the time to go in detail at this point of time, unfortunately. But anytime anyone has any questions, they can reach out to me also. My email address is there, and phone number for any further discussion, clarification, for direction and guidance on these slides and the topic. Thank you very much, University of Bolton, and all of you. Thank you. Laiba, I think you are mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Elias, for enlightening us with your very informational and wonderful presentation. We will go ahead now and take some time for questions. Please make sure to type your questions in the Zoom chat. So it seems we have a few questions. So here's our first question. Are VPNs a risk for cyber world as hackers misuse it to hack into a system without getting detected?
Yeah, so like any other technological advancement and solutions, always, yes, VPN has a certain kind of anonymity that can be exploited. But at the same time, there are now different ways of identifying and detecting those bad guys, even if they use VPNs.
Right, we'll move on to our second question. How can we update with cyber attacks or cybersecurity news? Can you suggest some forums or discussion groups for the same?
Yeah, so this is actually, there are many cybersecurity portals and discussion forums and Twitter handles, and even if they are in UAE, they can contact me also. I can share some of the forums and groups where we actually manage certain groups also that share latest cybersecurity news, career guidance and other aspect. I would prefer them to contact me, write to me by email directly, and then I can share that.
Right. Do you feel that governments and country legislation are adequately prepared for the prosecution of cybercrime? And what should be the key priority changes for internal company policy?
So that's actually two questions. The first question, yes, most of the countries are having now a bit more stronger cyber laws and electronic crime laws, like for example in UAE, and even there are courts they are dealing with electronic crimes only, and also, but yes, not across the world. There are countries which are still lagging in those areas, and there are this is another field actually. There are lack of expertise in legal side, who has the cyber security expertise, because the lawyers and the judges maybe doesn't have the cyber security expertise to take kind of the right decisions, or maybe understand the area. So there is a huge requirement in the future where combination of cyber laws or legal angle and the cyber security technological element. Even another aspect is that even forensic investigations, to accept in the court of law, there is a chain of custody to be followed, and there are certain procedures or certain certification to be achieved before that is acceptable for the court. So that is one side of it, and although there are a lot of development, but I think there are still areas of improvement in that. What was the second question, Laiba? Second part? You're mute, I think. You're on mute. Laiba, you're on mute.
It seems like I have a mic problem. So the second question was, what should be the key priority changes for internal company policy?
The internal company policies actually, the priority should be any action should be risk based. So organizations has to adopt and move ahead with technological advancement and adoption of technological services. But at the same time, there should be a risk based approach. There should be kind of security controls needs to be designed and implemented from the beginning, rather than adding it at the later stages. So companies, organization has to understand that cybersecurity is unavoidable, because all the organization across the world, any kind of businesses now depending on technology. If technology is there, then security is a must. So they need to understand that the right organization structure is there, the right people are there, and the right accountability is ensured, and the authority is given to the person in charge of security to make sure that they design and implement the right control without impacting the company objectives of revenue generation and advancement in technology, and leveraging the technology with the right security. So the business enabling security must be designed and adopted by organizations.
It seems like we have a few more questions. So, how can cybersecurity professionals help in the ethical use of technology? For instance, cyberspace these days can be used in misleading a large number of people by providing wrong information.
So that's a very, very tricky question, because information kind of misuse, or that's what I was telling, even artificial intelligence of understanding people's behavior and customizing what is the messages going to them, and that could be even brainwash them with different kind of targeted messages. But more than cybersecurity professional, there should be a kind of, that is why even some of these big organizations, social media organizations, were all asked to kind of mind the way how they are kind of managing the information they have. So, but from a security perspective, the cybersecurity professionals can manage the cybersecurity activities of the organization they are in charge, and also at the same time they can educate and make awareness among the public and community across, which is what if for example I'm doing on various forums from a technical perspective and from an public awareness perspective of security risk and challenges and behavior and how to use and what to use, what not to use. So this is kind of a social kind of activities cybersecurity professionals can do by educating and increasing the awareness among the community on what is they are disclosing, what they should not be disclosing on public forums, and how to behave ethically in the cyber world.
So we have another questions related to the bigger companies that face cybersecurity problems. So despite having got extraordinary protective measures, how do the attackers succeed in compromising systems of world famous leading companies like Amazon Web Services, Google? So we recently saw disruptions of some services offered by these famous providers.
That is an excellent question. This is why I told Dr. Zubair also before the start of this talk, is that the university students can take some thoughts from this session and can think about what else they can do to the cybersecurity community, because till now there is no silver bullet for cybersecurity problems. And even biggest of organization who has some of the big financial institutions spends $500 million a year for cybersecurity, and they have 6,000 employees who are just doing cybersecurity only. Some big investment banks and all, still they are getting breached because the security is actually, as I mentioned, it is not only a technology problem. It is actually a problem of having the right process, right technology, and right people with the right awareness. So it's a combination of the three things, which is a holistic approach to security. But many organizations, what happens is that they must be buying solutions, but not having the right processes, and they may be having people but not having the right authority and accountability in managing cybersecurity. And even some of the big social media companies who had breaches had the CISOs did not have the authority to take decisions or controlling some of the decisions taken by the organizations, and they did not have any clue how those breaches happened. So there are factors that is impacting, like people think that buying a lot of security technology and solutions will solve the problem, but that only will not solve, because that's maybe not configured properly, not having the right process, not having the authority for the cybersecurity team or professional to make the right decision. So at the same time, the other aspect is that the cybersecurity professionals and CISOs has to come out from the technical only thoughts, and they have to be understanding what is business needs, how to enable business with the right security. So that combination of business acumen, risk management, technology understanding is a requirement to have in a cybersecurity professional, to make sure there are more comprehensive and effective security program for organization. And what I found in this bigger organization, which is exactly I always think, even the biggest organization have still security issues, because they all having a lack in the comprehensiveness and holistic approach in security, and also the cyber security solutions what is available in the market are still kind of a firefighting or catch up. So there are actually bigger problems which is going to come again. As I mentioned in the last part of my presentation, artificial intelligence based attacks, it just started to happen now, but it will be increasing in the future. More and more advanced artificial intelligence AI based attacks that will be very difficult to defend by organizations, most of the organization, unless we are well prepared with similar solution at the defensive side of the organization. So this is what always a kind of a cat and mouse game happens between cybersecurity professionals and attackers. But I would urge universities to think about that in more detail and work with industry leaders to come out with more effective solutions and approaches in cybersecurity.
You mentioned about artificial intelligence in your presentation. So as more service providing companies are adopting artificial intelligence, how do you think it will impact the cybersecurity infrastructure of such organizations?
Can you repeat, Leba, again?
As more service providing companies are adopting AI, how do you think it will impact the cybersecurity infrastructure of such organizations?
Yeah, so AI is actually already being used by many cybersecurity solution providers also. Some of them use the fancy name to sell their product, as you know, they also have AI capability. Some are actually having AI capability. So now, as I have touched upon very roughly in my slide, in my presentation, insider threat, for example, you know, a big organization like a bank or a big organization, there are thousands of people who are working. There could be potentially a lot of insider threats and frauds which could happen. Now, AI-based solutions can, which I have seen and have used, are having, those solutions can understand the behavior of people. Now, if someone is thinking to resign from an organization and he wanted to conduct some fraud inside the organization, so there could be a behavior. He may be started to printing something, he may be started to send some emails, and then he is trying to access certain information. So there is a trend. So there are solutions now which can detect how the person is behaving, and is there a suspicious activity that he may be making some kind of an insider a fraud. So there are AI based solution that can address or identify those, address those. And similarly, even security awareness, there are solutions which can understand what is the risk profile of the user. Certain people are well aware, they behave better in the organization environment, and they will not click on the suspicious email. But there are certain people who always fell into those suspicious email, they click it, or they send very sensitive data outside to personal email. So there is the risk profile of that user is higher. So there are solutions to understand the risk profile of staff, and to conduct certain customized security awareness training. This is actually going to be part of the overall organizational infrastructure or organizational security
cybersecurity balloon completely depends on the
landscape.
size, the awareness, resources, information security.
There are going to be more and more kind of adoption of those in the future.
Okay, so we have a question from Dr. Zubair. So his question is, how secure is password encryption? And since some nations are offering rewards to anyone who is able to break the code, does that mean the one-way encryption is not totally one-way?
Yeah, so I cannot give a very authentic answer on that, Dr. Zubair. So see, encryption is always have some kind of limitation in terms of who can break and how much effort is required to break. You know, there are certain kind of password encryption need more time, and some depends upon how strong the password and how many characters you use, what are the type of characters you use. And also but there are solutions which are available to decrypt it. But now if it's a complex password, it takes maybe years and years. But if it is a very simple password, there are easily available online solution to break those. But at the same time, the challenge is that it is about password encryption. One way encryption is always we say always it's one way, but it is already, there are solutions available to decrypt also.
Thank you.
So that is why now when the password concept itself is actually getting changed to passwordless authentication, without remembering and without having the the challenge of changing the password regularly. There are now new solutions or new approaches coming even from Microsoft and Google and all, which is called, one is in Microsoft is called Windows Hello, where it doesn't require a password, but your facial recognition, you will get authenticated by your facial recognition or fingerprint, and then even key token on the mobile or mobile app. So you don't remember, or you don't have to keep on changing the password, or the password security itself is one is the encryption or decryption, and people has to remember and complex, and then change it frequently is a huge challenge. So this is why passwordless authentications are getting more popular nowadays.
Yes, thank you, sir. So we'll take one more question. This question is from Engineering Asset. For a non-financial business entity, what percentage of the budget should be allocated for cybersecurity management?
Now, see, this percentage kind of concept is kind of something which I personally don't really believe in, because it's not about how much percentage, but yes, for a general analysis, they say, like 8 to 10% of IT budget should be allocated for cybersecurity. But more than a percentage, it should be based on the needs, for the organizational risk. And for example, if an organization did not have any security controls implemented, and they are pretty weak in the cybersecurity arena, then it is actually you need a lot of work to do, and then maybe a big percentage of money needs to be invested in building those security controls. And once you implement those security controls, and once you have the process and you assess the risk, and then ongoing basis, the investment may be less, because you have a pretty solid base and you have implemented the required controls, and then it is a maintenance of those controls. And maybe there are certain additional things required. But I would prefer to do a risk-based approach in the security investment, with a clear strategy and roadmap, and assessing the maturity of security, where you are standing now and where you want to reach, how long you want to take it, and what is the critical risk you have, how to address those critical risks. I mean, again, 80-20 rule also, like, maybe the 20% of the problems, if you fix 80%, 20% of the gaps you fix, 80% of the problems and risk may be mitigated. So that prioritization. So it's all varies to organization, but mostly research organizations take this percentage 7, 8, 10, which I really feel that it should not be the approach. It should be based on a risk based.
All right. So we have many more questions, but due to time restraint, we'll take 2 more. So the next question is, the majority of customers begin to migrate to the cloud. Do you support this shift, and how do you see the future of information security jobs with this approach?
Yeah, information security jobs market is going to be still huge. And if you can believe me, current market, job market and economy have a big kind of pullback. But I can see in security, job market is still hot. There are a lot of requirement for information security professionals, across the world. So now cloud adoption, as I told in my presentation itself, cloud adoption and any technology advancement, as a CISO, I would love to have it, because I'm a fan of getting all of this latest technology for my organization, and to the mankind, because we need to leverage whatever developments happening in technology, and we should be the first to adopt and take all of this to leverage to the benefit of the society, benefit of the organization. So cloud also same way. 10 years back in GITEX conference, actually I was a speaker in about cloud and cloud security. So that time even cloud did not kind of not many organizations even started to think about. But the issue or the requirement is not blindly go to cloud, but ensure the right security, right governance, right control, right architecture, right visibility in the cloud to make sure that the security is managed and controlled in such a way that we are fully in control of the situation. We are fully in control of our information. There should be data-centric security in cloud. Wherever the data goes to cloud or to premise or to somewhere, to US, to UK, anywhere, the security should be flowing with it, and then we have better control and we know how, and we can probably there are solutions to encrypt the data in the cloud, and the key can be with us, where nobody else, even the cloud provider, cannot access the data without the key management can be with us. So this is something which is really need to be taken care. There are security control policies framework for cloud which we can adopt, so the security requirements are different and more, and we need to ensure that is being put in place. And similarly, the job around that, career around that is going to be very hot in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Ilyas. That was a very informative Q&A session. It looks like we have covered most of the questions, but there are more, and unfortunately, time does not allow us to take this Q&A session any further. Is there anything else you would like to cover, Mr. Ilyas?
No, I think this is pretty interesting and a very good question Q&A session, and I hope I was able to answer something. Dr. Zubair, I was able to answer your question because it was a difficult question. As a
no, I think you answered it correctly. I think the jury's out on the whether we can completely, in reasonable sort of time frame, break and the one-way encryption. And I know in the UK, the MI5 has in the past offered a £1 million prize to anybody coming up with a solution. And the rumor has it, because they'll never accept or deny these things. The rumor has it is that because they know how to crack the code, they want to see if there's anybody out there who can also crack it, because if they can, then there is a risk for many things. But fortunately, nobody claimed a prize yet. So maybe 1 million is not enough.
Yeah, I think that this is what actually that's all about security in general, because it's about ROI, return on investment. So yes. If someone is ready to invest a lot of money to target, then if they are persist with that, then there is a potential chances of breaking in, because it's about how much money, effort, resources you have to target something, and that much you will be successful. So that is what actually security professionals do, is that you make your controls as difficult as possible to the other party to break in, because then they have to think more, they have to spend more to break in, and you tighten up the controls in such a way that they let them go to somebody else where it is more easier and less cost to break in. So that's because there's no 100% security in anything. There's nobody can claim 100% security. It's a matter of how much effort someone put in. And also the other point, which again, as Laiba asked, what I wanted to convey is that security is about not about defense and protection only. It's about how to detect if something goes bad, and how you respond professionally, effectively, to reduce the impact and mitigate that particular incident in such a way that impact is less, and how you recover in case, worst case, you have a big issue and then you need to recover quickly to continue our activities and business. So security, we normally say there is like manage, identify, protect, detect, respond, recover. This is a different phases of a security life cycle. So you do everything to protect, but still something can go, you detect, and then you respond, you recover. So this is actually something, if we can believe in that and do that. And also the other aspect of security is that you build resiliency so that something goes wrong, still things can go on, continue, how to continue. So that is what even the COVID scenario proven, that the businesses who can continue their activity during such a major kind of challenge, they were able to succeed, and they were able to continue, and they were resilient. They were proven that they can sustain in any kind of challenging environment also.
Great, thank you, sir. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Abdi Hapsi, Head of Vocational Qualification and Senior Lecturer in Business Information Systems at Western International College, also Head of Edexcel BTech Programs, Engineering and Business Department, for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to provide you with the closing remarks for this very successful University of Bolton British Computing Society Virtual Talk Series 2020 speakers. The seminar had two major objectives. First objective was about to bring latest industry practice and professional bodies closer to our student population. And the second objective was to discuss computing issues that are thought-provoking and important to the wider society. This is what the University of Bolton RAG Academic Center, in collaboration with Western International College, is about, bringing latest industry practice closer to our student population. I must thank Mr. Ilyas Koliyankal for sharing his industry experience with us. And based on the number of questions asked, it's quite clear that the audience were engaged in the seminar and they really switched on. And that obviously indicates the interest that our audience have shown. I would also like to thank Mr. Mustafa Al-Musawa Al-Hashemi, our last series speaker. We have got our provost, Dr. Zubair Hanislot, and our CEO, Dr. Sudhir Kartha, and our campus director, Mr. Raj Nambia. We have also special guests in our audience, Mr. Raisat Ali, Group Head of IT, RAG Ports Group, and Mr. Mohammed Rushdi, experienced CIO. I would like to thank the British Computing Society Middle East Committee members who are present here today, our esteemed professors from our University of Bolton and other universities as well, our students who are always at the center of our attention, and wider audience from around the world. Finally, I must thank colleagues from the Department of Computing and Software Engineering at University of Bolton RAG Academic Center, led by Mrs. Fatima Shamim, for their offer to bring this series, University of Bolton British Computing Society Virtual Series Talk 2020, to our doorstep. Thank you all, and please stay safe. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, sir. We thank Mr. Ilyas once again for giving us his time and for having a wonderful presentation. And I hope that the participants found this session informative. We also look forward to having you in our upcoming sessions. The registration links are being posted in the comments. Please do register and please look forward to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Zubair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ilyas. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Wonderful one.